Christian Cage makes his AEW debut and the Arcade Anarchy match ends in chaos. This is my AEW Dynamite review. My name is Niall and I love wrestling. The show opened with Christian Cage versus Frankie Kazarian. This was obviously Christian Cage's first AEW match and first singles match in 9 years. This was a hard-hitting, slow-paced kind of NWA kind of feel to it in a way, and it was a pretty good match. Christian Cage ended up winning. There was maybe one or two botches in the match. I think a leg drop kind of didn't work as well, and Cage kind of fell over maybe once or twice, but he did look really good and the match was decent. It was a bit too long for me. I think it went like 15 to 16 minutes, but it was a bit long, but a nice way to see, a nice way to kind of open AEW Dynamite. Next up was a promo by Darby Allin. This was a chilling message to Matt Hardy, and it is setting up nicely, actually, I think, for a Matt Hardy Darby Allin match down the line. Darby Allin is going to be facing someone, I can't remember who, I'm sorry, next week for the TNT Championship, and I'm happy to see Darby as champion. This is a good promo. Nothing really else to say about it. Next to do a promo was Jade Cargill. She was pretty much just trash talking Red Velvet as she has been the last couple of weeks. This is actually going to be a pretty good match in my opinion when it comes up. She did say naughty words. He said "Watch your profanity." Next was the exhibition match between QT Marshall and Cody Rhodes. This ended in tatters as Cody Rhodes has been turned on by QT Marshall after he punched Arn Anderson, and basically a couple of members of the Nightmare Factory kind of turned on the rest of the Nightmare family and Factory. It's a bit complicated, and it's yet another faction in AEW. This makes 6 factions at the moment in AEW, being Matt Hardy's contingent, the Nightmare Family 2.0, the Inner Circle, the Pinnacle, and the Dark Order. Did I say Dark Order twice? Maybe not. Anyway, there are 6 factions in AEW right now. I just think that's too many, in my opinion. But it's... Look, if they work it the right way, I think it could be something good, but I just don't think they will. That's just my opinion. On a more interesting note, during the ad break after this match, Stone Cold Steve Austin featured. What? Next, Scorpio Sky and Ethan Page have announced nearly that they're a tag team, I think, and they are saying that they need opportunities, they want opportunities, and they're going to get them starting Monday on Dark Elevation when they face the Sydal brothers. And this could be something good in my opinion. Ethan Page, who has recently just signed Scorpio Sky, any screen time that Scorpio Sky gets is a good thing in my opinion. Scorpio Sky is just hilariously talented. I think everyone in SCU really is hilariously talented. Frankie Kazarian, on one note, actually just looked fantastic in that Christian Cage match, I might just say. I think they've all got bright futures, even though they're nearly seasoned veterans at this point. Christopher Daniels as well, of course. But I do think that any screen time that these two get will be good. I actually like Dark Elevation. It's actually quite good. Check it out on YouTube on Mondays. That was I shouldn't be promoting them, should I? Moving on. Following this, Jon Moxley faced Cesar Bononi in a pretty kind of hard-hitting match. It was kind of what you were nearly expecting, really. Jon Moxley kind of getting beat up for a few minutes and then kind of coming back into it, and it looked realistic, and he cut a fantastic promo at the start. It's just Jon Moxley being Jon Moxley. I think Jon Moxley, I don't think there's any wrestling fan out there who would say that he is not one of probably the top 5 wrestlers in the world right now, and it's hard to argue with that when you see these kind of performances consistently week in, week out, both on the mic and in the ring. Team Taz then cut a promo on themselves, it was pretty much like a promotion of them, and then Ricky Starks and Brian Cage sort of shown that there may be some cracks in Team Taz. I'd be very much up for a Brian Cage versus Ricky Starks match, but on one note, since Will Hobbs has joined Team Taz, he hasn't done anything, and I think it's just ruining a fantastic talent. This has got nothing to do with the actual show, but I just thought I'd mention that because I think Will Hobbs is just, as I said, amazing in the ring, and it would be so disappointing if AEW just wasted him. He's got a fantastic career ahead of him, but for now I do think we need to give him more matches. Next was MJF's gift to the Pinnacle. It was supposed to be a stylist, I think, and they're just going to change the whole dressing room. He opens the bathroom door, and who is it? It's Chris Jericho in the Inner Circle. I enjoyed this spot. I actually really enjoyed this. Like, this could be a really good rivalry. Now I know it's 2 factions against each other, but you know, that's working two factions together. That's using them to their full potential or ability, I suppose. This was a nice little kind of cinematic type thing where, you know, I think Sammy Guevara put Sean Spears through a door. Santana and Ortiz put Cash Wheeler, FTR, Tully Blanchard, whatever, and then the Peace Deal or Resistance MJF was put in the toilet by Chris Jericho. I love wrestling. But this was a pretty fun, interesting kind of segment, and it sets up a ton of matches, a ton of potential matches, I think, between these two factions, and yeah, I can't wait. Next, it was AEW champion Kenny Omega against with the Good Brothers, against the Lucha Bros and Laredo Kid. Now, this was another reminder that the Lucha Bros aren't human. Call them spot monkeys, call them whatever you want. This was just insane to watch because, as I said, these lads aren't human. Like, some of the stuff that these lads have pulled off the last couple of weeks, it's mental. It's absolutely mental. It's also worth noting beforehand, Don Callis slapped Matt Jackson and pretty much just cut all ties pretty much with the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega. And it's also very much worth noting that at the end of the match, Kenny Omega won, by the way. It's also worth noting that Jon Moxley came out, stared at them for a bit. Then the Young Bucks came out to join Jon Moxley to beat up Kenny Omega and the Good Brothers. It sets up a 6-man tag next week on Dynamite. This is going to be interesting. Next was a women's tag match. It was Nyla Rose and the Bunny versus Ty Conti and Hikaru Shida, the AEW World Women's Champion. Now, this match was pretty good. It was a nice little kind of showcase of talent from the 4 women involved. I think it was an entertaining match and a good little, I won't say filler, but just a nice way to kind of segue into the main event. And again, this is only the second feature of the women on the show. I just think that it's hilariously underbooked, the women's division in AEW. I hope this changes. And there was something actually in the main event that would suggest that it won't. It was then time for the main event. It was Best Friends, Orange Cassidy and Chuck versus Miro and Kip Sabian in an Arcade Anarchy Match.
What?
The match was absolutely brilliant in my opinion. There was comedy, there was spots, there was using weapons. It was just everything that you wanted from this match and more. And then there was actually 2 returns in this match, and we're going to get into that now. Actually 3. Midway through the match, there was a spot where up the ramp, you know, where like the cars come in, you know, whenever they're like doing car shots on AEW, Orange Cassidy and Chuck were walking up the ramp, crawling up the ramp, and you see lights come down. It can only mean one thing. It's Sue's van with Trent. Earlier in the match, Chris Statlander returned via a claw machine. I love wrestling. It was again not really much need for it, but it's wrestling. It was fantastic, and it was great to see Chris Statlander back, and she bet up Penelope Ford a bit. And at the end of the match, when the Best Friends won, should probably mention that, they all gave the people what they want, and then they gave the people what they want again with Chris Statlander. All the matches on this card were pretty good, especially the main event. I think the main event was match of the night 100%. I'm going to give this show 3.5 out of 5. I just don't think it wasn't perfect, and it wasn't very good. It was good. It's between good and very good, if that makes sense. I'm going to give it 3.5 out of 5. If in terms of how they can improve, I think the Christian Cage match was a bit too long. I think, you know, the Cody situation, I just think it's going to be another faction. It's just going to be really messy. And other than that, I think the women's tag match was good. I thought the 6-man tag was very good. I thought Moxley Cesar Barnoni was very good. Main event was excellent, and it's just good to see AEW, you know, shining, I suppose. Now, I know what you're thinking, where's my NXT review? I'm sorry, I didn't watch NXT, but next week it's moving to Tuesday nights so I can watch both NXT and AEW, which is great news if you're a wrestling fan in my opinion, and that's pretty much where I'm going to start. I'm going to be doing my predictions for TakeOver whenever. When's the TakeOver? TakeOver next week. I'm going to be doing a prediction next week for that, and then we're going to do I might skip the Raw review just because TakeOver and all that, and I just don't think I could physically put myself through another episode of Raw. I'll do Wrestling Weekly at the end of the week, just rounding up everything that's happened this week in wrestling. I'll be doing your Friday Night SmackDown review as well, so stay tuned for that. Thank you very much for watching. My name is Niall, and I love wrestling. Bye bye for now.